Prison argot. What is prison argot? Well, that's what we are here tonight to talk about. We all say things in our daily lives, not realizing that to an inmate behind the walls of criminal institutions around the world, these sayings mean a totally different thing. Slang, prison argot. It dates back to when the first institutions were created. Hey, you want to get some Cadillac? Now, to you and I, this could mean going down to the local dealership, taking a nice test ride in a nice comfortable vehicle. But to a prisoner, it strictly means a cup of coffee with cream and sugar. If you hear someone yelling, "Fresh fish," well, you're probably looking for a tasty meal or smelling something delectable cooking on a grill. But in prison, fresh fish means a new prisoner or a newly arriving inmate. So prison argot is basically slang, prison proper in another term. Those are just a few names for the internal language of today's prisons across the world. The terms and gestures used in prison can change from place to place. It could be determined based on your geographical location in the world. Southeast, Northwest, Europe, China. It could have to do with sex, race, any of those things. Prison argot also helps with the hierarchy in prisons. In prison, drug lords, members of gangs, organized crime families, these guys are on the top of the food chain. And there are terms and names that for them that identify them as such. Whereas you have child molesters, sex crimes, they're all on the bottom of the food chain. Again, being identified by different terms and different names. So where do these names come from? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. There are tens of thousands of slang terms out there. Too many to talk about today. But let's take a look at a few, just of interest. We're going to start off with an easy one. In-stir. In-stir. S-T-I-R. Simply put, in-stir means in prison. The use of stir dates back to the mid-19th century. It gives us the adjective of stir-crazy, which originally designated someone psychologically disturbed or by a long imprisonment, but can also refer to a person struggling against physical or mental confinement. The big house. The term the big house with reference to prisons has been around since the 20th century, early 20th century that is. The term possibly descends from big house as applied to workhouses in the 19th century London, in which unemployed and destitute men would receive food and lodging in exchange for work. The clink. Take 'em to the clink, Clancy. It's a classic line from multiple movies. The clink widely refers to any jail or cell. But the clink was actually a prison in the Southwark area of London from the 12th century until the late 18th century. While the history of the word is uncertain, it suggests that the origin is derived from the sense of clink, meaning to fasten securely or to clench, rivet, fix, or fasten with nails or rivets. Up the river, another one that you've probably heard in movies or in conversation. Well, located on the Hudson River in Saline, New York, is Sing Sing Correctional Facility. Well, they ended up with the nickname of Up the River because criminals that were convicted in New York City were literally sent up the Hudson River to Sing Sing Prison. Sing Sing opened in 1825. An instance of Up the River was known by as early as 1837. Other slang terms for penal institutions include slammer, probably in the sense of slamming the door, rock pile, after the convict's job of breaking rocks, and juzgado, an American English word used from the Spanish word juzgado, which means tribunal. We spoke about fresh fish earlier. Well, again, fresh fish goes all the way back to the 18th century, mid-18th century to be exact, and includes a citation of fresh fish. Fresh fish is the name applied to all newcomers in prison. Heat wave, probably the most appropriate here. That's in Florida. If you're feeling the heat wave in prison, that pretty much means that you're being watched non-stop by the guards and employees of this institution. Nobody wants to be near a heat wave, not even when they're outside. Rabbit. Everyone likes cute fuzzy bunny rabbits, but a rabbit, to you and I, is a pet or something you see scampering across the road. Well, in prison, a rabbit is that person who's constantly trying to escape or wants to try to escape. And chalk. Simply stated, for us, chalk is a white or colored item that you draw on chalkboards with, or you can draw on the street with. Children use it all the time. Well, in prison, chalk is known as prison moonshine. Homemade shine made in the prisons. I hope I gave you a little bit of insight on what prison argot is and a couple of the terms that are out there and used. Again, it's not like us. For us out here in the real world, in prison, it's a totally different thing. If you have any further questions about it, you can feel free to contact me, or you can look them up online or at your local library. Plenty of resources out there for you to use. I hope you enjoyed my short, brief conversation, and have a wonderful evening.